Alright, welcome back to the shop, and today we've got our 16 injector intake here, and our spark plugs came in the colder heat range. They weren't supposed to be here until Monday, but I guess with all the holidays and everything, they've been projecting a later delivery and delivering sooner, so that works for me. But these right here are a B9EFS NGK. So it's a recessed plug, and it is in a 9 heat range, or none. So we're going to try these first. We're going to see how it does, and then that'll determine what our next move is. So I haven't run these before. Typically we run the good old trusted BR7EF, which is again is a non-projected tip, and these came out of, I have no idea, I just grabbed them out of my box. But again, typically I run these if I'm running more than 10 or 12 pounds of boost and on E85 and such, and these perform well. Below 10 pounds of boost, we typically run the TR6 plug, which is a projected tip plug, as you can see, and these are a heat range 6, these are a heat range 7, and these are a heat range 9, or none. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to try these out, see if it calms everything down. Again, the wastegate is sprung for 11 pounds of boost, and Michael had about 10 degrees of timing in it, and we were experiencing a good bit of spark knock. So and I was told that, oh, well, there's probably something wrong with the combo, and been criticized and whatever. So what we're doing is, again, this is a very high compression engine. The Liberty heads have a smaller combustion chamber, and it's pretty much a flat top piston with only 2 valve reliefs. And we're on pump 93, which is absolute garbage. And with it being wintertime, it's probably even worse. So Michael has done another combo. I think it was that 440 cubic inch truck. That was a crew cab, C7 to 13 model truck. Posted a video of it a while back, and it made like 900 at the tire on pump gas and 10 to 15 pounds of boost. But I forget what compression that engine was, but the guy actually tore the engine down, swapped the pistons out, went to a lower compression so he could continue to stay on pump 93. And Michael was trying to retune it and at the boost level the guy wanted, and over 10 excuse me, over 10 pounds of boost, and was only about 3 degrees of timing, because this pump gas these days is not as good as it used to be. When they trickle in just that little percent of ethanol, it really hurts you. The only time it benefits you is when it's about E50 or E60 and above. And again, the E50 and E60 range doesn't require as much fuel pump as E100. So an E100, it requires more pump, more injector, etc. So the safety margin with E50 and E60 is about equivalent as E98. So and that's it, I guess, if you want to mix and measure and whatnot, because the ethanol content is typically out of the pump is E85. If you measure it with one of those E85 testers and whatnot. So to get the E50 or E60, you would have to mix to get that. So what I'm going to do Again, we're going to try these plugs first, see how it does. If that tames us down and, we're able to run 11 pounds of boost and 93 with the meth, then, we'll be good to go. We'll leave it alone as is for the moment, and until I get the 4-link under it and we get a good tire under it and that whole deal. So that's where we're at. I'm about to swap them in and try it. Again, if it doesn't work, I have this C10 injector intake from years gone by, and the way I had it set up when I did it back then, I ran the stock truck injectors on the bottom. So fuel came in at number 7, crossover, and well, I guess not. I guess I fed it from here, crossover in the back, and it's deadheaded over here. Which I would swap that around to feeding it here, crossover, and then deadhead. But I'll have a regulator since the fuel pump. So anyway, this injectors was on the pump gas system, and it was just driven around under normal power. And then once you got to a certain threshold, then the fuel pump would turn on to pressurize this system. And then once that threshold was met, then it would turn on these injectors. And again, back then, Holley was on V3, V4. And and to be honest, I haven't looked to see how it operates now, but I know that they've made changes to where it's more better to run, easier in their tuning to run the 16 injector setup. So I would run it on these and then turn these on so all 16 would be spraying at once. This set was actually on batch fire because I really can't remember how I did it, other than I know it was on batch fire and I did all the wiring integration and the way I set it up. But I'm going to go look at how Holley has it set up now, because I think what you can do is basically shut off the pump gas and run this, which would be beneficial because then you wouldn't have the contaminants of the pump gas in here. So the way that I had run it and calculated it, if I ran E98 in the top set and then ran E10 pump gas in the bottom set, I had 210 Bosch injectors up here, and then these are stock truck injectors, and the ethanol content was about the E50, E60 range. So then you just run all 16, and then the equivalent fuel would be E50 or E60. So that's one way to run it, but again, I would like to run it where these turn off and these turn on, and then I can just run E85 in this system, and then we'll be good to go. A lot of people feel that this is way too complicated and of a setup for something that doesn't make 3,000 horsepower, but I guess they don't understand that I just don't have E85 readily available to me, and if I'm driving the truck anywhere and I need to fill up, I'm not going to have access to E85. So with this setup, it allows me to just drive around on pump gas, and when I get into power, I have the fuel and with the octane needed to achieve what I'm trying to accomplish. So basically, it's like, just meth injection to the next level. So again, with the meth, we do have meth injection. It's either on or off, and again, from what I've read and gathered, this is actually the first time I've run meth injection, but I was thinking that you turned it on, 3 psi to 5 psi or something, and then sprayed it through and whatnot. But the reality of it is, it's really not meant to be turned on until above 10 psi or something like that. So a lot of people try to use it with the inlet air temp sensor and try to have a colder inlet air temp reading and whatnot, but it's not achieving the desired result that I was wanting from it, because basically we're already experiencing spark knock at such a low boost value and having to run such a low timing with it. And no, I don't think anything's wrong with the setup. I think that the pump gas is just not as good as it used to be these days. So you have summer and winter blends of the fuel, and I know an E85, typically in the winter, it's on the lower end of the spectrum because it's a lot harder to run E85 in the cold than warmed up. So, I don't know if that's what we're experiencing, but Michael really started running into it with trying to tune these things on pump 93 and trying to run more boost out of them, and it's just you're octane limited. That's all it comes down to. So if the meth isn't able to turn it on at the right time to achieve the desired result, then again I'm just going to go with my old 16 injector setup, and then at that point, we'll probably go ahead and add boost control to it, so we can turn it up and run, over 20 pounds of boost on it. And then, basically it'll be a drag and drive truck. So we'll have the ability to drive around on just pump gas on our bottom fuel injectors, and then we'll be able to just turn it up to whatever I feel safe pushing the 6.2 to, and in the 62 too. But one thing about that is I meant to mention in one of my videos is I don't know if I explained why I did motor plate. Motor plate to me goes back to when I used to run small block Fords and stuff and Fox bodies and everything, and what we learned was engines that had the motor mounts directly connected to the block on either side, the torque and movement from the engine against the motor mounts, it was more prone to head gasket failures and sealing up and everything. Whereas with the motor plate, it alleviates that pull and push on the sides of the engine. So my buddy has a Chevy 2 Nova, and he had a stock bottom end 6.2, some ported heads, motor plate, and I probably knowing him, probably a Turbo 400, but that thing, he had a very, 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 very nice turbo on it, and that thing would absolutely get it. I mean, it very fast car, and he finally did scatter it, but that was one of the main things, was he had a motor plate and everything, and he also is very intelligent and knows how to set up a car, so that goes a long way as well. I'm not that person, but I try to learn from him as much as I can, because he's very knowledgeable about the tune and the combination setup, and especially the suspension setting. He can really dial in a suspension and know how to make it function and work and get it down the road. So he's built some pretty fast cars on the street, and again, I think the motor plate played an important role in making it live as it did. But anyway, so that's where we're at. We'll try these plugs, and again, hopefully that'll tame it down. Again, if not, then we'll put this setup on there. I'll buy another set of injectors, and then I'll put another fuel tank somewhere in the truck. Either put one up here, and then just have a little fuel system to feed it, and then run the secondary injectors. And these are 100-pound injectors and probably not going to be big enough. So I'll probably just run the hundreds on the bottom, and then get some, I guess probably some 210s again for the top, and then get a good fuel system pump and reservoir set up to run the secondary set, and then let Michael tune how it changes from the first set to the next set. So anyway, that's where we're at now. I just want to give an update on the plugs that finally come in, and then the potential to go dual fuel on this thing.